Hello, and welcome to the very first podcast of Illuminated Darkness. I'm your host, AJ. Each episode, we will be discussing various interesting topics: ancient aliens, conspiracy theories, the paranormal, pseudoscience, and secret societies. There will be some other off-the-wall topics in there as well. Illuminated Darkness can be reached through our Facebook page or via email at illuminated.darkness2019@gmail.com. Please, feel free to contact us with questions, comments, new information on a past topic, and recommendations for future topics. Any web pages that are referenced will be available with each new episode announcement on our Facebook page. I came across this about a month ago from Alien Star. It was published on 3/11, and you can check them out at their Facebook page. NASA confirms it. Nibiru comes towards Earth, and this may be a life-ending event. Seriously. How can NASA confirm it's coming towards us if they constantly deny its existence? Nibiru, which is also known as Planet X, is supposed to be out past Pluto. Now, according to many, Nibiru has an orbit of about 3,600 years. Some sources will state that Nibiru is a failed star that is just warm enough to support several dwarf planets and small moons. If you've watched History's Ancient Aliens, Unsealed Alien Files, or any type of documentary about aliens or ancient aliens, you are well aware that Nibiru is supposed to be the homeworld of the ancient Sumerian sky gods, or Anunnaki. However, according to the article, the Anunnaki are not going to be behind the life-ending event. It's supposed to be the planet itself. Now, there are some who have read the revised, indexed, and complete book of the Anunnaki Ulemma Final Warning to Humanity, the End of Time, and the Return of the Anunnaki in 2022. Those individuals may or may not believe that the Anunnaki will bring about our demise. However, there are some humans who will be spared. It's eerily familiar, isn't it? It just depends on who believes in what. Now, this is not the first time that there's been a threat of Nibiru crossing our orbit. What the theory is that Nibiru's trajectory will cross Earth's trajectory, and the massive gravitational field of Nibiru will disrupt Earth's gravitational field by causing the solid iron core of the Earth to stop spinning in its liquid nickel alloy surroundings, resulting in pole shift and total catastrophe, earthquakes, dramatic climate changes, and the disappearance of life on Earth. NASA's official stance is that Nibiru does not exist. End of it. It's not out there. Period. Our solar system, if you remember back to your basic science classes, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and beyond that, the Milky Way galaxy. Now, NASA and other various space agencies around the world have numerous space and ground telescopes where they can see just about everything. As a side note, there are about 10 types of telescopes. 8 of these are in orbit around the Earth. The 10 types of telescopes are refraction, reflection, radio, gamma ray, X-ray, visible light, infrared and submillimeter, microwave, particle detection, and finally, gravitational wave. And with all of this technology, no one can find anything. I find that rather difficult to believe. But then again, governments have been lying to their people for centuries. Why should they change it? It's a good thing for them. They even have religion in on it with them. The Vatican has 2 telescopes, one ground-based observatory in the Piazza Sabatini in Rome, and the official word on that telescope is, the Church has had a long-standing interest in astronomy due to the astronomical basis of the calendar by which holy days and Easter are determined. Well, I bet somebody's confused about Easter. Now, the second telescope, the Vatican has lovingly called Lucifer. Lucifer is an acronym for Large Binocular Telescope Near Infrared Utility with Camera and Integral Field Unit for Extragalactic Research. Lucifer is ran by the Catholics, the Jesuits, several multinational organizations, and finally the Vatican. Now keep in mind, once upon a time, the Church told the followers that the Earth was flat in the center of the universe, and anyone who said any differently was tortured, excommunicated, and burned as a heretic. Looks like they've changed their mind a little bit. Bottom line, basically. If they won't believe the government, they'll believe religion. but sooner or later, someone's bound to drop the ball and something's going to be released. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. It's a tennis match, people. This is all government smoke and mirrors, and it's no different than the government smoke and mirrors of the 1940s with Roswell, and we'll be covering that at a later date and time. NASA, the CIA, the Vatican, the Pentagon, every government agency across the globe knows if you announce this is going to happen, you're going to cause mass hysteria in the streets of every city in the world. Now, from a security and safety standpoint, yes, denial is the best policy. This way, the less we know, the easier it is for those in the upper levels of the elite to hide and hope to survive. I doubt they will, but they're dumb enough to believe we're not aware of what's going on. Let them be dumb enough to believe they're walking away from this one. Nibiru destroying life on Earth is not a new thing. This was first suggested in 1995 by Zetatalk founder Nancy Leiter. You can check out www.zetatalk.com. I also recommend http://pullshift.ning.com for more information on the theory of the approach to Nibiru. Getting back to Nancy, she first suggested what became known as the Nibiru Cataclysm in 95. The theory made a huge comeback when it was suggested by numerologist, author, and researcher David Meade. Meade, who studied astronomy at the University of Louisville, has several books to his credit. He first predicted the dates for the 21st century. Now, the first date was set to occur on May 27th of 2003. He's predicted nearly every date after that. The next date was linked to the Mayan calendar being December 21 of 2012. The next date after that, October 20th of 2014, then again on September 9th of 2017, again on October 5 of 17, and 10 days later on October 15 of 17. Now, all of these days passed without incident, and the next predicted date was April 12 of 2018. That day, over a year ago, passed without incident. The next predicted date for this to occur is on November 23rd of 2019. Now, Meade bases his predictions all on biblical numerology. Now, I know where your thought process is going. So many dates predicted, all of them passed without incident. Is it possible that NASA's right and there's nothing beyond Pluto but the Milky Way? It's possible. But let's keep in mind, NASA is a government agency that may or may not have faked the moon landing in 1969 just to have brag rights and a leg up over the Soviet Union. Ours is the same government that may or may not have edited moon photos and edited transmissions between astronauts Armstrong and Aldrin with mission control while they were on the surface of the moon. That is the suggested theory. I can't confirm or deny the allegations, but I am a very firm believer that the government does not always tell us everything, and that they will manufacture a crisis to distract us from some backroom deals. This kind of reminds me of the Nemesis theory. Nemesis is supposed to be the companion to our sun. The theory is that Nemesis is on an elliptical or oval-shaped orbit, and it enters the solar system every so many years and disrupts what's called the Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt and the asteroid belts. This causes an extinction event on Earth. Now, there are a handful of astronomers and astrophysicists that actually believe Nemesis is out there, making its orbit, slowly coming towards the sun. Now, they'll devote time and resources to search for this, but is it possible that Nibiru and Nemesis are one and the same? They've used various sweeps using the orbital telescopes and have not located Nemesis. They've not located Nibiru. An astronomical event wiping out civilization as we know it is not a new thing. There's the threat of solar flares that'll obliterate our atmosphere, as we saw in the Nicolas Cage movie Knowing. Asteroid impacts that will hit with the force of several atomic bombs dropping all at once. Gamma ray bursts that will radiate the planet, killing everything. Even an alien invasion could be seen as life-ending or life-altering. It's all a matter of how much does the government really want us to know. But we take comfort in knowing that even the government will not survive what could take place. If, in fact, Nibiru is out there, making its way towards Earth, we're not going to be told until it's already too late, and the pole shifts and the cataclysmic events are taking place. Now, let's get back to NASA and their denial in the existence of Nibiru and Planet X, whatever you want to call it. If NASA is so bent on denying the existence of Nibiru, why are some of the best minds in astronomy and astrophysics looking for extrasolar system planets? Or even spending their time mentioning, for that matter? Is it because there may be something out there? Or is it because some of us are getting way too close to the truth and they need a distraction again? While I was doing my research, I stumbled upon a paper written in 1988 that was published in the Astronomical Journal. While the paper is not solid proof that the planet exists, it does show a mathematical theory behind the location and orbit of the planet. The paper, entitled Location of Planet X, was written by R.S. Harrington of the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C., and it was published in October of 1998. I truly encourage you to read this full paper. It is available on the internet and can be located via Google. If you can't locate it, please email us at illuminated.darkness2019@gmail.com, and I will email it to you directly. In early 2016, astronomers at Caltech announced that there was in fact evidence for a distant planet in the solar system. Their paper was published in January of that same year. The Caltech website stated, Caltech researchers have found evidence of a giant planet tracing a bizarre, highly elongated orbit in the outer solar system. The object, which researchers have nicknamed Planet 9, has a mass of about 10 times that of Earth and orbits about 20 times further from the Sun, on average more than Neptune, which orbits the Sun at an average distance of 2.8 billion miles. In fact, it would take this planet between 10,000 and 20,000 years to make just one full orbit around the Sun. I again encourage you, read the paper for yourself. Form your own conclusions. It can be located at the Astronomical Journal's website. The title of the paper is Evidence for a Distant Giant Planet in the Solar System, published January 20, 2016. I want you to keep in mind, this paper does not confirm or deny the actual existence of Nibiru or Planet X. It only confirms the theory and the mathematical prediction of a hypothetical planet. But apparently, theory, prediction, and hypothesis was enough to get everyone looking. Even NASA made a video about it. Over a year later, the Washington Post publishes an interview with NASA scientists. Please stop annoying this NASA scientist with your ridiculous Planet X Doomsday theories. This was published on November 11th of 2017. And what really caught my attention about this, other than the headline, was the Washington Post's use of real NASA scientist. Did they interview a fake NASA scientist? Has this fake scientist been running around publishing peer-reviewed papers in science journals and giving interviews? Or does the journalist who conducted this interview and wrote the piece feel that astronomers and scientists who do not work for NASA are beneath the astronomers and scientists who do work for NASA? You can read this article in its entirety on the Post website. According to the Post, part of this scientist's daily duties is to debunk the internet theories about fake planets about to destroy Earth. In a quote from the SETI Institute's weekly podcast, the scientist states, "There is no such planet, there never has been, and presumably there never will be, but it keeps popping up over and over." Then went on to state, "We can understand his frustration. Based on just enough pseudoscience to capture popular imagination, the theory claims that a planet, or black star, called Nibiru, or Planet X, is orbiting the outer fringes of our solar system. It is just far enough out that no one can prove it exists. Of course, but it also happens to be on a path that will soon send it careening towards Earth, either smashing into us or getting close enough to cause a gravitational doomsday." Our scientist was also quoted as saying, "There is no evidence that Nibiru exists. If it did exist, it would have screwed up the outer planet's orbits long ago, and people have been predicting its arrival before and have been wrong." I actually have a response to this guy. He needs to call Caltech, because apparently their mathematical predictions is a big load of nothing. There may be something out there messing with the Kuiper Belt. Maybe a giant planet. Maybe a rogue star. But there could be something out there. What this guy's apparently forgotten is that scientific results take time. In 2018, in the Cincinnati area, a giant red glowing object behind the clouds was caught on film. Was this Nibiru coming towards Earth? Obviously not, because we're still here. It was later determined to be the reflection of the sun setting, but shortly after that, the FBI closes the Sunspot Solar Observatory out in New Mexico. The official word from the FBI is it was an unnamed security issue, then later released that a facility janitor had been accused of downloading and distributing child pornography. Sick, I know, but what better way to get rid of a witness that you can't convince to keep quiet? Hang a charge on said individual that will bury them so deep in prison that they may or may not survive should the allegations against them become general knowledge among the general population, and protective custody isn't an option. Now, I am in no way, shape, or form defending the accused, but keep in mind, threats of prison, death threats, and threats of treason were all used by the government during the Roswell investigation. Treason charges, imprisonment, and death are still used as threats from the government when the rest of us see something that cannot be explained and the government gets involved with it. Food for thought. Getting back to David Mead, who I mentioned earlier, has several books to his credit, some of which are bestsellers. In Mead's bestseller, Planet X, the 2017 Arrival, he states, "I have seen Planet X on the Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, WISE, through Worldwide Telescope. This is a NASA infrared wavelength astronomical telescope launched in December of 2009. Planet X is currently in the constellation Pisces and is clearly marked as an unidentified object, but is a quite plainly visible dark red star known as IC 5385. David's book can be purchased via Amazon or Thrift Books. While I was doing my research for this topic, I actually went to the Worldwide Telescope and looked at IC 5385 using the WISE. There's no doubt about it. You can see it. It's there. So it's been cataloged, which means its existence is known. But is it moving? It very well may be moving in a slow, highly elongated orbit. An elongated orbit is kind of an egg shape. Now, I know some of you are thinking, how can a star move? The answer to that is gravity. Stars move in an orbit. However, it's not very noticeable. While our sun seems like a fixed point in space, sitting statue still at the center of our solar system, it actually is not. The sun has a very small, hardly noticeable orbit. The sun and the planets all orbit around a common center of gravity. Here's a little more food for thought. Most stars in our galaxy are called binary, which means there are two or more stars orbiting around the common center of gravity. Our bright star seems to be a loner with no companion star orbiting it. Now, it's believed that Nemesis is the aforementioned theoretical companion star to our sun. Then again, keep in mind, this theory's been developed by astronomers and astrophysicists, and they say it could be a brown or a red dwarf star that lurks out beyond the Oort cloud in the Kuiper Belt, which is where all the comets come from, and its gravitational field can disrupt all of this debris and send it careening towards the Earth, resulting in what could be devastating impacts that could be considered life-ending or altering. But please, do your own research. Draw your own conclusions. Think for yourself. That's all I've got for you today. I know it's probably kind of short and not what you were expecting, and I deeply apologize for that one. I can promise you, though, the next show is really going to blow your brain. Until we meet again, keep your eyes and your mind open, and try to stay out of the darkness.